What is up, guys? I'm your friendly neighborhood web word fanatic, and today I'll be going over the best way to play Peter Parker Spider-Man in Marvel Champions. And this is just my personal opinion. I'll be going over my favorite way to play Peter Parker, and in a way that I think that is very suitable for his character, and just a very fun and thematic play style for Spider-Man. So first, I'll be going over his hero cards and different aspect hooks, and then I'll go over a deck list, and I'll go over some playthroughs, playing this deck in this archetype, and show you guys, real life examples of how this playstyle works with Spider-Man. Okay, so the first thing is let's take a look at his hero cards and go through a few different aspect hooks here. So the first thing that we want to look at is Black Cat right here. So she is Spider-Man's identity specific ally. She's a 2-cost ally with 1 thwart, 1 attack, and 2 hit points. So not like the best stat line out there, but note that she does not have a consequential damage symbol underneath her attack, right? So whenever she thwarts, she'll take a consequential damage, but if she attacks, she does not take damage back, which is very, very powerful. She does have a force response. After you play her, you have to discard the top 2 cards of your deck and then add each card with the printed mental resource, discard to your hand. Sometimes it can be good if you can get those mentals to your hand. Sometimes it can be bad if you discard like a backflip because that's a physical resource, or if you discard Aunt May, which is your prize aunt who can heal you by 4 in Alter Ego, right? So this is the energy use right there, right? So it's good if you can get a mental with it. Not as good if you don't get the mental, right? But one really cool thing about Black Cat is that she can very easily be Voltron because she can attack infinitely and stay alive, not taking consequential damage. So Spider-Man does have a cool, leadership hook there. You can put a bunch of attachments on Black Cat, build out her attack, give her like Sky Cycle so she can ready back up, once per phase, and just have her attack limitlessly. So that's a very cool way to play Peter Parker Spider-Man. You can also, of course, make Black Cat your sidekick by giving her, that upgrade. So yeah, definitely playing Spider-Man in leadership, with the Voltron build is very synergistic to his kit and works very well with Black Cat. Another cool aspect hook for Spider-Man is, of course, protection. I think that this is the way that most players like to play Spider-Man because, of course, he has that printed defense stat of 3, which is above average. He has 10 hit points, which is the average, but he also has his hero ability Spider Sense as an interrupt. Whenever the villain initiates an attack against you, you can draw a card. So basically, each time the villain, gets more activations and attacks you more, you get to draw cards and build up your economy. So it's kind of like not that bad for a villain to attack you, because you at least get a card back. Versus you playing a different hero, it's much worse if they don't have this ability and they have less defense and less hit points, right? So he could definitely work very well in protection. And then backflip right here, I still think this is the best defense event in the entire game of Marvel Champions. It's a 0-cost event, so it's free to play, and then that's interrupt whenever you would take any amount of damage from an attack, prevent all the damage. And then since it does say defense right there, this is technically defending Marvel Champions. So if you have cards like Unflappable or Hard to Ignore, that will trigger whenever you play a backflip, and then you don't take any damage, right? So I think protection is a pretty obvious route for Spider-Man as well. And a lot of people do like to play Spider-Man in perfect defense, that archetype where you're defending in protection and you don't take damage, so you can trigger the effects of Hard to Ignore, Unflappable, and stuff like that. Because if Spider-Man plays a backflip or builds out his defense stat even further with like an armor vest or something like that, he can really defend a lot and not take damage. I think that that is a very good way to play Spider-Man, and I think that Spider-Man is actually one of the better candidates, to play perfect defense, in Marvel Champions of all the heroes. I do think that Spider-Man is one of the better ones, to play in that archetype. However, I think that perfect defense can be pretty unreliable against some of the more difficult scenarios. And a lot of villains have ways to, do ping damage, not through attacks, right? So defending can't block that out. And then also perfect defense can start off kind of slow because you got to play a bunch of, those 1-cost upgrades. So that's going to kind of lead us to my favorite way to play Spider-Man, which is leaning into his alter ego here of Peter Parker, right? So the first thing to know with Peter Parker is, of course, he has Scientist as his alter ego ability. As a resource, you can generate a mental resource limit once per round. Very powerful to get that additional resource each time that you're in alter ego for every single round. But the main, most powerful thing about Peter Parker's, alter ego is that he has his Aunt May right here. Just trusty Aunt May, helping give us soup right here. So she's a 1-cost support. So you can play her in hero form or in alter ego form, but this action here can only be triggered from alter ego because it is an alter ego action. You can exhaust Aunt May, heal 4 damage from Peter Parker. This is so powerful, guys. This is like the best healing in the entire game of Marvel Champions, right? Because you can really leverage your hit points whenever you're leaning into that, right? So if you're in hero form and let's say you have 2 hit points left, you flip over to Alter Ego. You can exhaust AMA to heal by 4, go back up to 6 life. Then the next turn, you'll start off that next turn, in Alter Ego. So you exhaust AMA again and heal for another 4. So she's kind of healing like 8 damage, with one flip, even though it's only, 4, per that turn that you're exhausting her, right? So that is so powerful because you can take so much damage and just be willy-nilly, a lot of villains that hit you in the face, and then just flip down and have AMA, heal you back up. One quick thing that I did notice about AMA very recently is that she does not have soup in the art here. I always thought that she had soup somewhere here. I don't know why. Maybe I read that somewhere, but it's like just medicine and like water and stuff like that. Fun little note there. I don't know if anyone else had that misconception where where they thought that soup is in the art, but it's not, guys. But still, anime is a very powerful card, and then that this is the one thing for me personally, really abusing the power, of this healing card and leveraging his hit points is a great and fun way to play Spider-Man here. And I do want to compare anime to Backflip really quick because I think that they're both very, very powerful and pretty much on that same level. But the thing with Backflip is that it's an event. So if you don't have it in your hand, you cannot play it, right? To be able to block all the damage. If we knew every single time backflip would, be in our hand, or if we always had in our hand, I think that backflip could definitely contend with anime. But so oftentimes whenever I want a backflip, it's at the bottom of my deck or I don't have it in my hand. But for Aunt May here, she's a support. So all I gotta do is last, that first deck pass and not die. And then once I have Aunt May down, I can have her heal me up, an unlimited amount of times, every single time I'm in Alter Ego to use this Alter Ego action. So the answer is obvious, right? The best way to play Spider-Man is Injustice, because Injustice, you have ways to like confuse a villain, you have ways to increase the breathing room on the threats with like under surveillance, you also have threat mitigation, right? Justice is kind of like the alter ego aspect, so to lean into his alter ego ability, giving him that boost of economy and anime, allowing him to leverage his hit points, we want access to the alter ego, and Justice is the way to do that. So for a very, very long time, Justice is, my favorite way to play Spider-Man here, right? And we have Spycraft here, to prevent, deadly encounter cards. We have Under Surveillance to increase the target threat value of the main scheme by 4, so that when a villain schemes for more, we don't necessarily lose. And Beat Cop allows us to remove threat, while we're in Alter Ego, because it's an action that can take one threat, off of any scheme. And Peter's High Economy allows him to play 3 copies of Beat Cop, because he can use Scientist, his Alter Ego ability, to generate an extra resource, every single time that he is in Alter Ego. However, my favorite way to play Spider-Man, and I should say my new favorite way to play Spider-Man, is actually in Protection here. So it's actually with this Webbed and Ready deck here. Okay, what am I talking about? Why is it in Protection now? Well, all that good stuff that we talked about, in Protection, all those aspect hooks, combine that with Justice being able to access his alter ego, that's going to be through this card right here, Ready for Fight. This card is not fair, guys. This card is a game changer. So it's a 1-cost upgrade. So you can just put it on table and you have it, on demand to use it for. You have to pay a physical resource when paying for the cost of this card. Max 1 player, so you can't have multiple copies, on the table at the same time. As interrupt, whenever an enemy would scheme, you discard this card. Then you change the hero form. That enemy attacks you instead. Okay, guys. So for some reason now, I mean, I understand it because enemy's going to be attacking you now, right? So that's kind of like the protection hook. But Protection now has a more reliable way to access Alter Ego than Justice. And because of that, we can have the best of both worlds with Peter Parker Spider-Man, right? You can lean into Protection and do like defending stuff and protection stuff with him. But then you can also lean into Alter Ego and just take a bunch of damage and easily have access, to MA to a healer's backup right here, right? Because you just flip down, heal by 4, and then whenever the villain would scheme, you don't let them scheme, even if they're stall or steady, it doesn't matter. You don't have to confuse them anymore. Just trigger they're ready for a fight, flip with the hero form, they attack you. Whenever they attack you, you can trigger Spider Sense, draw a card, and then maybe you have like a backflip, to prevent that, or you can just block with the ally as well, right? So freaking powerful to combine, ready for a fight to give Peter that access to his alter ego. While also being able to play in Protection, right? So one other really cool thing that I like with this build is that it's not a perfect defense build. It's kind of like a imperfect defense. Like we want to take a bunch of damage, but going one step even further and just take out all defending like straight up, right? We just want to take all the damage that we can and just heal that back up. So this is kind of like a build. It's called Webbed and Ready. We want Ready up, but it's all about healing up and just face tanking attacks, right? And I think that that's pretty thematic to Spider-Man as well. He always takes so much damage in his fights. Sometimes he's trying to protect other people, but he gets hit in the face, nonstop. And that's what this deck is, all about here. So we do still have our backflips here, right? Because of course, backflip is such a great card. If we have it in our hand, we still want to play it, but we don't have any other defense events, in our deck. And then Jocasta is still a great ally because she can grab backflip and you could tuck underneath her and you could play the backflip as if in your hand. So it's kind of like having a third backflip, in one deck pass. That's really good because blocking out all damage with the backflip is still amazing, but no other, protection defense event can line up and compare to a backflip. So that's the only one that we want. Anything else, we just want to take a damage straight to the face. We don't even want to exhaust user defense stat of 3 because, we have Aunt May to help us heal for 4 each time that we're in Alter Ego. But then we also have Dr. Sinclair here, which is a new protection support. I should say that both Dr. Sinclair and Ready for a Fight came in Silk's Hero Pack. So Dr. Sinclair here, she's a 2-cost, card. And as an alter ego action, you can exhaust her and spend a mental resource. Well, wait a minute. Our alter ego ability here, Scientist, generates a mental resource, so that is completely perfect with that. Has really good synergy, and you can heal damage from your alter ego equal to your recovery stat. And Peter Parker does have a recovery stat of 3 right here. So you can do that, and you can also discard a stats card from your identity if you have one. So that's so powerful because now you have Darcy Sinclair and Aunt May down. You're healing for 3 plus 4, 7. And if you do a full turn in Alter Ego, like if you don't need to trigger the you're ready for a fight here, right? So you can spend the next turn in Alter Ego as well, like starting off in Alter Ego, you can heal for 14 damage, which is entirely bonkers. So one really cool thing that I put in this deck is this symbiote suit here, right? This card is pretty controversial. 4-cost upgrade, which Peter Parker can definitely afford the economy. But your identity gets +1 to each of your basic powers, +1 hand size, and +10 hit points. But there is a printed hazard right here, so you get an additional encounter card every single turn. But you have 20 hit points, and one big thing about the hazard icon is that if you get an attack, which it often is because there's so many activations and attacks, in that villain's encounter deck, well, a lot of the bonuses of this gets mitigated each time you take an attack, right? So it's kind of like diminishing value every single turn. But then with Spider-Man is that with Darcy Sinclair and Aunt May, you can heal so much, and you can easily heal all the damage that you've taken, right back up, which is super duper powerful and so fun, to play Spider-Man, with the symbiote suit, take a bunch of damage, heal it back up, and just flip back and then get ready to fight again. This deck right here really leans into the alter ego, so of course we have Moon Girl here, who you can only play if you have the champion or genius trait, and of course we're flipping a lot, so we can easily play Moon Girl, every single turn if we wanted to. We also have Gambit here to help us scry the encounter deck so that Peter Parker can easily flip down, knowing that the enemy, won't get an advance or get like a low boost for that scheme activation. And another cool card that I like with this deck is the What Doesn't Kill Me here, right? So super thematic for Spider-Man. You have in the art, iconic art right here. 2-cost event, the requirement is a physical here again. Hero action is a heal 2 damage from your hero and then ready up your hero. So even more healing there, and you get it ready to abuse the stats that the symbiote suit gives you because you have +1 Thor, +1 attack, and all of that, right? Another thing to note is that the +1 to each of your basic powers includes your basic recovery stat. So Peter Parker will have 4 base recovery, and although we'll never use our basic activation, to recover, Dr. Sinclair here is going to heal us by 4 because our alter ego recovery stat is going to be 4 with the symbiote suit. The plan is super duper simple. We just take a bunch of hits to the face, play Ready for a Fight, play Aunt May, flip down to alter ego, have Aunt May heal us back up, and then flip back over, not letting the villain scheme, with, Ready for a Fight. Okay, so maybe now you're thinking, this deck sounds fun, but is it viable? Is it powerful? Because a lot of times in Marvel Champions, decks that are very fun aren't that strong, and decks that are very strong, aren't that fun. I think that this deck is very, very powerful. This deck and this archetype can defeat every single villain in Marvel Champions on expert mode very reliably and very consistently. Let's jump over to some gameplay here against the most difficult villain, Ronan the Accuser. Okay, so this was a game that I played here against Ronan, and he has Fanaticism out, and I just want to show a little bit with how the playstyle of this deck works, how we always want to take damage, right? So Ronan right here has like Fanaticism out, and we're stunned, and we're playing Spider-Man, and last encounter card is Hold Breach. Choose one, exhaust them along, do 3 damage to first player, or spend 2 mentals. So in this option, we always just take 3 damage, right? No brainer there. Of the mentals here, I think I want to take 3 damage because we have the Ready for a Fight, so I can always flip down by 1, 2. Yeah, we're going to take 3 damage to first player, so I'll bring us from 9 down to 6. Let's just hold on to
hold on to the Milano here.
Yeah, so easy decision there. Even though we had the double mental, the genius resource in our hand that could easily fulfill their requirements for the whole breach. That was tempting, but I was like, you know what, we gotta do what this deck wants to do and just take that damage, right? And Ronan, I think he's a very difficult villain, so I actually swapped out the symbiote suit with endurance there. I think that we actually didn't really need the endurance either, and actually try this out with the symbiote suit here against Venom Goblin here. So here's a game that I played against Venom Goblin, with that same deck. And let's see, we have 70 hit points right now because we have the symbiote suit
He's gonna hit us for
in play, and it's currently villain phase. So this minion right here is gonna hit us for 2, so we just
2.
take it.
That's fine. We take a drop from 17 down to 15 with tons of life. Get 2 encounter cards because of the symbiote suit. First one is a Berserker, no quick strike because no same environment, and we got Swing and Assault. So the villain attack should give him an additional boost card for the activation. Okay, so he's gonna attack us. We trigger Spider Sense, draw a card. He gets 2 boosts here. I'm flipping down anyway, so we just take it here. So we have Moon Girl. Yeah. All right, we'll take the attack to the.
Yeah, so like if this hit was like 10 damage, and Venom Goblin has no attachments, right? So he's not gonna be able to get it that high. But if it was that high, it doesn't matter. We drop down to 5 life. And May Sinclair will heal us, for 8 now. So we'll go all the way back up to 13. So it doesn't even matter how much damage he deals here.
Face, 2 boosts. So place 1 threat on each man skin without the glider.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he got a boost effect and didn't get any boost icons. But I think it would have been cool to take more damage here. And let's skip a little bit in this game. Okay, so this is a little bit further on the game. I think we took some damage. We healed some damage up, and now we're at 16 life here. And this is the villain phase.
With Spider Sense.
So Venom Goblin's attacking us. We draw the card with Spider Sense.
And then we're gonna block. Then we just take this hit to the face here because we have no rare. But yeah, so we're gonna just take this hit. Then with a base of 3, gets a boost 0. Place 1 threat on each man skin without the glider counter. So this goes to 9, goes up to 9. So he just does 3 damage here, brings from 16 down to 13. Claim of Throne stays on here, discard a card from your hand. Spider Chaser. All right. Then he's gonna deal us 2 encounter cards because of our hazard icon. So we have a total of 3 here. First one is gonna Surge, Resolve Scheme with a special with the glider counter. The special is discard 1 card from your hand. Man, another Spider Chaser, and then that will Surge. Remote navigation, we search the encounter deck and discard power for the advanced glider and put it into play. Oh crapper! So he gets.
So this is one of the more rough turns that you can get from Venom Goblin, right? We got the advanced glider through remote navigation. It comes into play here. We shuffle up. I'm gonna skip that. And then the next encounter
card is Erase Symbiote, and then oh no, a gang up.
Gang up. So now he's gonna attack us twice because the advanced glider, whenever Venom Goblin activates, so activate again. So attack again, and the Erase Symbiote will attack us as well with that gang up. Let's see what happens here.
So he's gonna activate twice now. Okay, so let me see. Yeah, we don't have any cancel. Okay, so he's gonna attack us with a gang up. The villain each engage with attacks. When he attacks Spider-Man, we'll draw a card with Spider Sense. Okay, we drew a card. Then we had to decide what we do. So he's gonna get a boost card here. We're gonna block with Moon Girl. So this will be the boost 3. So 6 damage. We'll take Moon Girl out. Okay. Then Venom Goblin's gonna claim a throne. It stays on here. We lose a card from our hand.
So each time that Venom Goblin is triggering, his Claim of Throne, and he's triggering that special on the upper mid hand right there, we have this card from our hand. So we keep on discarding so many cards from our hand, this villain phase, but look at our hand size. It's still so big, and we can still do so many things during the player phase, which is super duper fun.
I don't think we have a backflip. Yeah, so we'll toss Jocasta. Okay. Okay, so we toss Jocasta. Then with the Claim of Throne, Advanced Glider will trigger now. So he's going to activate again. He's going to attack us here again. We'll draw another card with Spider Sense. And then we'll take this one to the face. So this will be his 1 boost. 3 again. So 6 damage, bringing us from 13 down to 7. Okay. 13 down to 7. And then he'll Claim the Throne again here. So we lose another card from our hand. Going crazy with that. Let's toss Black Cat here. And then this guy's going to hit us here for 2. So we take a drop from 7 out of 5. Okay, and it's back over to our turn finally. All right.
So I think we started that with that turn with 16 hit points. We dropped down to 5, and I think we discard 4 cards from our hand. But with Spider Sense helping us draw more cards, it doesn't even matter.
So let's mention draw a card.
Yeah, so we're gonna draw. I think I'm gonna skip a little bit to where I heal up. So we do some door removal stuff. We take out the Erase Symbiote with the Guard Patrol. And I play what doesn't kill me here. So go up to 7 hit points. And then we're just going to flip down here because we can ready for a fight if we wanted to. So we flip down to Alter Ego.
For Dart Sinclair to heal our recovery side, which is 4 now, because Symbiote Suit gets us +1. So we're healing 4 there, and we use another 4, so we're healing 8 total damage. Brings from 7 all the way up to 15 here.
So we bounce all the way back up to 15 life from 5 easily in one turn, and manage the board a little bit as well. So yeah, tons of fun even with the hazard from the Symbiote Suit. And I wrote here how much damage I took from this game. So we took over, I was tracking it, after the game. We took over 40 damage throughout the course of this game, and we healed over 30 hit points against Venom Goblin, who is one of the most difficult villains in Marvel Champions. If you're playing at higher player counts, I think this deck becomes even more fun because a hazard icon is less impactful, although the other players at the table may not like you so much, but you're still going to be doing a lot of stuff to help them out, and you can block for them as well, right, and just take that damage to the face. So I think they won't mind that much. Let's see what we ended our hit points with. So we ended up with 14 hit points at the very end after taking probably a bunch of retaliates from Venom Goblin, playing 2 swing web kicks and 2 what doesn't kill me there to go for that, that big final push there. So yeah, that is basically, how this archetype works with Spider-Man. We want to take a bunch of damage here, and we just want to flip down to our ego, heal it back up. And one cool thing about Ready for a Fight, like I said before, is that it doesn't matter if the enemy is stalwart, steady, does not matter, right? Unlike a confused status, you can get that flip to alter ego no matter what, which is so powerful, helping Peter Parker Spider-Man get that recovery from AMA. This is definitely the best way to play Spider-Man, in my opinion. Let me know down in the comments if you tried this type of archetype, and let me know if you think this is a fun build for him. If you haven't tried it, let me know what builds that you like with Peter Parker Spider-Man, and also let me know if you guys enjoy this type of video. I hope you guys enjoy this one, and I'll see you guys all in the next one.